You changed me out to the.
All right, we are live, and let's see. Oh, it's my turn. All right, hello, and welcome to TL News Night for October. It's October 20th, 2014, and we're very excited to have our special guest from North Carolina here tonight. But we have a few changes tonight with our anchors, and we have a couple anchors who are running late and coming in. But Alyssa Malspina is ill tonight and not here, and in her place is Okal Miller. And Okal, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Hey, can you hear me? Is it on me?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. My name is Okal Miller, and I am a K-5 media specialist in Tampa, and I can't get my lower third to work the right way. But I'm happy to be here.
Yay.
It helps if you unmute yourself. Okay. and Sherry has some family obligations tonight, and she may be in later tonight, but in her place tonight is the fearless Jonathan Werner. So, Jonathan, I'm going to let you introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, I'm Jonathan. I'm a library and instructional technology specialist, and I'm the one that is responsible for Sherry using that title because she stole my job description. I work at the Library and Learning Commons in Cape Elizabeth, Maine, and I met all these people at ISTE in Georgia, and my life was never going to be the same afterwards.
It is so true, and I still have the picture of me with the hat on. We were passing Jonathan's hat around at ISTE, and that was so much fun, and we used it to draw prizes. So Jonathan's hat has quite a history at ISTE. We are waiting for Shannon Miller and Michelle Cooper to come on. They should be here shortly. Really, what we're here for tonight is for our wonderful guest. Oh, I'm about to start our wonderful guest, but we haven't even talked about introducing anyone who's new to the show, so I'm going to pass it over to Sue so she can clue you in, if this is your first time joining us, a little bit about TL News Night and what we're doing here.
Okay, hey everybody. We want to let you know that TL News Night, it's a live show. It's presented in a news show format, and it features a wrap-up in this month's in school libraries. Discussions of topical school library issues with special guest experts from state library associations. Now, our friend, Vicki, cool cat teacher, Davis, always says, if you don't like how the media depicts educators, you need to realize this. We are, I say we are, cue my slide, we are the media now. And so we need to tell the story that the world needs to hear, and so do you. And what that means for you is if you want to be a part of the fun on TL News Night, you need to fill out the form right there, you can see it on the screen, and let your voice be heard. We'd love to hear from anybody, and you might suggest a hot topic, or your school library association might have a segment that they want to do. Back to you, Nikki. Did I freeze? Uh-oh.
And unmute. Sorry. I was just talking to myself. So all these links that we share, the PowerPoints, etc., we'll be sharing with you later on this evening on the wiki. We're also going to try our question and answer feature. So if you're watching us live through Google Hangouts, or through Google Plus, you can click on the question and answers and send us a question there, or you can use the hashtag TLChat on Twitter to send questions to our wonderful panelist from North Carolina. And speaking of our wonderful panelists, I'm going to go ahead and let our three wonderful Library Association members from North Carolina introduce themselves, and we're going to start with Bree. So, Bree?
Hi, my name is Brene Duggins. I am the Scholarships and Awards Chair for the North Carolina School Library Media Association. And I'm the media coordinator at Pilot Elementary in Davidson County in North Carolina.
Awesome. And then we're going to move over to Britt, whose lower third is also being read to her today.
Okay, my name is Brita Mann. I am chairperson of the North Carolina Young Adult Book Award as part of NCSLMA, North Carolina School Library Media Association. And I am also a middle school library media coordinator at a school in Union County, North Carolina.
And Sarah, make sure to unmute like I keep forgetting to do.
Okay. I'm Sarah Justice. I am the Read to Succeed grant chairperson and a past president of NCSLMA. And I am a media specialist at Rosman Middle and High School. It's 2 schools within one building in Rosman, North Carolina, which is in the far west of North Carolina.
So the opposite area of Jennifer Lagarde.
Basically the exact opposite.
Yeah, I think she was mentioning that you had that drive all the way to the whole other side of the state after your conference it was just this past week, wasn't it? Or not this past weekend, but the weekend before, right?
That's right, yes.
Wow. Okay, so you guys are coming off of a very busy time for school library associations. Putting on a conference is no joke. So let's go ahead and jump right in with your hot topic for tonight. And you kind of talked about this for a little bit, and for a minute it was the tale of 2 libraries, but now it's the tale of 3 libraries. So I'm going to let you guys take over now, and we'll jump in as we have audience questions or comments to add to if we have questions. So where did you want to start with that? And I'm going to turn it over to you. Sarah, Bree, and Britt.
Okay, I think I'm going to start, and I'm going to see if I can share my screen or not. So y'all just let me know. Okay. But I don't know if I'm doing it. Entire screen, share.
There you go.
There it is.
Okay. Does everybody see that then?
Right.
Slideshow.
Perfect. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've never done this before.
There you go. You got it. You're doing it. See? And what a great example you're setting. And, you know, those of you who are watching this, don't be afraid to step out and try something new. Look at Sarah and these wonderful people from North Carolina who are stepping outside the box and trying something new tonight. Be brave like that. We're brave librarians.
And even though I'm sitting here talking to my computer screen, it still makes me really nervous.
Right?
So. Okay, so our Tale of 3 Libraries is the digital differences that we have, but basically the common goal that we all, as media specialists, have. And so I'm going to kind of go through a little bit of the digital journey that I have been taking. Like I said, I work at Rosman Middle and High School, and this is mainly about the high school. But we are a very small school with about 355 students, and at this point we're about 60% free and reduced lunch, which is actually a little bit less than what we have been before. We became one-to-one in February 2012 with HP Netbooks, and I was by myself in this, basically, just me as the media specialist. I do not have an assistant. I did not have a technology facilitator at that time. And so these were thrown out. There they are. And so library usage itself dropped at that point, and I pretty much just became the tech support person, and it got a little bit lonely. And after about 1.5 years of that, I pretty much said, that's not my job anymore. We did hire a technology facilitator, and I decided that's her job. This is what I'm going to do. And I started with an extreme library makeover. I moved into the library as the first person in this new edition. I have been there 14 years now. In 2004, up here in the right corner, that's pretty much what it looked like, the basic idea that you always have, the tables, the shelves, dividing it into two different sections so two classes could be there, the slightly uncomfortable furniture that weighs about 800 pounds. And at that point, I started changing it around. I started adding colors to my walls. I started ripping down shelves, moving things, making it a little more user-friendly, making it more about my resources and my materials. Started buying some new furniture if I could, started repurposing other furniture if I could not. I don't know if you can tell. Can y'all see my mouse moving when I do that?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So right here, this was the main circulation desk, which of course in the very beginning was at the very front door. I moved it, and then I took it completely apart, or actually these boys right here took it completely apart for me, and they moved it for me, and I made my own little beginnings of a maker space at that point. So my library makeover was one of my first steps. Then I decided I needed to provide things that only the library had, because before going one-to-one, the things that the library had were computers, and no one else had those. And once it got to the point where everybody had computers, they weren't coming to me anymore. So donors choose, 3D printer. Within about 2 weeks, I had it all funded. And as you can tell from this picture on the right, it's pretty much the focal point whenever the kids come to the library if it's running. I also pulled in some things to try to work towards my makerspace. And up in the top left, it'd be shocking to think that the kids are intrigued by a basic manual typewriter, but they are. Then I also created a Lego wall because I love Legos, and I wanted something there myself also. I put out puzzles, and you can tell from the picture there on the bottom right, the kids just show up in between classes, spend like 2 minutes putting things together, and then run to their classes after that. And you wouldn't think, you know, you look at these big boys standing there, but they do absolutely love it. And then in the bottom, I transferred all of my magazine subscriptions to Kindle. I do not receive print copies anymore. I wrote a Bright Ideas grant. In North Carolina, we have Bright Ideas grants with the electrical co-ops, and I received, I think, about $1,300 last year to purchase those. So keeping up with the idea of digital, I figured the kids are wanting to read online, so I switched my magazines to being digital. Then I worked to get the classes back. I wanted to offer things to the teachers and to the students that maybe what they were not getting in the classroom. The steampunk is one of my favorites.
I was just looking at that.
Isn't that awesome?
Yes.
My art teacher is one of my favorite people to collaborate with because it's pretty much, if she has an idea, I'm game. If I have an idea, she's game. And the steampunk kind of came together very easily just because the materials I had. She was more than willing to let me come in, do presentations, the history of steampunk, literature, art, everything like that. And then I put it all on display in the library, and lots of traffic because of that. And putting the books out, the circulation just exploded with those. Megan Shepard, who actually just won the North Carolina Young Adult Book Award, came to see us because she lives about 3 miles from here. And I just asked her if she could talk about book covers. And once again, collaborating with the art teacher, the kids designed their own book covers after she kind of went through the process of how book covers are done. And that's an example of one right there, because they had to read a short story and then illustrate it. And once again, those were all on display in the library. I've been working hand in hand with one of the EC teachers, and we have come up with just some really neat programs for the kids to connect their curriculum with modern day history, everything. This EC class has read The Great Gatsby, and we were working to make connections between The Great Gatsby and just whatever. For example, we used the MTV Cribs episode of Hugh Hefner, and they watched that, and then they compared how Hugh Hefner was a lot like Jay Gatsby. And it's amazing what these kids came up with.
Wow.
Yeah. And then once again, since we've gone digital, we have 2 senior English teachers, and one of them is very willing to take, we do require graduation projects in my county, and one of those teachers is very willing to take the graduation project and make it completely digital. And we have done that. And on my library webpage, there are actually links to those portfolios for the past 3 years.
Now, in the one picture, Sarah,
yes,
there was one picture back on the other side. It looked kind of like you had made one of the round tables into a conference table with a large screen television on the right-hand side underneath.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Yes, definitely. I have these dreams and these visions of my remodel, of having some of those awesome long tables that go into a horseshoe booth and then have a bar behind it so the kids can collaborate and work. And of course, this is my free version of it, where I drug a table over there, put it in front of that, and created my own. But once again, through a grant, I was able to purchase 3 of the larger screen TVs to mount on the wall. And it came from the first time we did the curriculum connection, where I had computers and screens hooked up, and then I had chairs on top of the electrical cords so nobody would trip on them. And so I wrote a grant based on that, saying, I need this. I need for them to be able to collaborate, to work together, to have this station. And so I was able to buy 3 of those TVs, like I said.
That's awesome. So you've been able to actually have that collaboration going on there.
Yes, and it's been great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the way you did that.
Yeah. And here it is, a little closer too. One of our teachers' husbands was running in the Boston Marathon, and so we did the live streaming all day long, and we actually saw him across the finish line, so that was pretty neat. And the kids would come in either in between classes or at lunch and kind of sit there and watch that. Then I also had the Google Doodle Tour streaming, and had the media awards from ALA streaming last year too. And that was just kind of a drop-in.
Yeah, I like these examples because I think a lot of librarians want to bring in stuff that's going on in the outside world but don't really know how, unless they've developed some sort of collaboration and working on a lesson with somebody else. But this is a way you can just bring in all sorts of different things. I love those ideas.
Right, and with these, all I did was send an email to the kids and say, because we have email through Gmail, and just say, hey, this is what's happening in the library, stop by when you can, and they would.
I'll talk about
and then, what's that?
Sorry, I was just saying, we just undertook a similar remodel at Cape Elizabeth, and our big piece was that everything that's in the middle of the floor is mobile now. And can you see my picture of it?
Yes.
So everything you see in that picture that isn't on the wall moves. So we can accommodate 150 people for a meeting now. Or we had a karate class the other day, and the instructor was hilarious because she didn't know what to do with us having a karate class in the library. And I said, this isn't a library, it's a learning commons. And whatever the kids need and want to do, that's what they're doing. And I love busting open people's sensibility about what should and shouldn't be happening there. So our grand opening was fantastic. We had 150, almost 200 people come through during Parents' Night and just marvel at what happens if you rethink a space and you say, this is not about 5,000-pound tables and lecterns and whatever else.
Right.
And that was one of the things I had to do with my administration also, was to get them to rethink, because when I started taking down shelves and getting rid of some tables and putting bookshelves elsewhere, my principal was a little concerned that he would not be able to have faculty meetings where everybody could be in there. And my response pretty much was, this isn't the meeting room.
Good for you, Sarah.
Well, and he supported me, so that's good. But I do have wheels on all of the wooden shelving that I have gotten, and some of those wheels I did have to get the carpentry teacher to put on there too, because it was repurposed shelving that I did that to. And then, can y'all still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. I love event days. And so these are some examples of my event days that I have pulled in. And even though one-to-one has taken some classes away from me, it has given me a little more time to plan and to collaborate and to bring all of this in. We've done Dr. Seuss Day, and even though I'm a high school and a middle school, the kids love Dr. Seuss Day, and we've done that for probably the past 7 years. We did a Hunger Games Day, and of course we all have to dress up. Everybody loves that. And we did Teen Tech Week this last year, which included the Legos. We had the rainbow looms. I think I went through about 20,000 rubber bands within the week. Had lots of activities for the kids to do. We celebrated Dot Day just recently, and this is what we called our Collabor-Dot. I had the piece of paper out. Everybody that came in, we asked them to do something dot-wise, and then our art classes all day long helped to, as the art teacher calls it, she took the art bunny to it, which is her way of kind of making everything look good and put it together. And so then that's hanging up in the hallway now up above the lockers. With our Catching Fire Day, I don't know how I can top it this year, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to at all, because I actually collaborated with a community college. I had an idea of I really would like to emphasize the capital for our Catching Fire Day and have makeup and fingernails and all that. And the thought kind of came that, oh, well, I can bring in the cosmetology class from the community college. So they actually had class. Oh, sorry, there's my phone. Well, they actually had class all day long in our library where they did makeup and did fingernails and just all kinds of crazy stuff. And this top picture here was just a wide shot kind of showing how many students and teachers were in the library at one point that day. And then once again, of course, costumes. And even though I'm 40 years old, my mom still made my costume for me. And that's the end of me.
I love it, love it, love it, love it. And you're getting a lot of kudos at you, Sarah, on Twitter. We have Jen Baker talking about love the steampunk art. So many great lesson ideas from Sarah Justice. So thank you for sharing those with us.
And there's a lot more pictures on My Media Center Facebook page. There's actually pictures of all the steampunk and pretty much all my events too.
Thank you, Sarah. And you'll send me those links later on, and we'll put them up on the wiki. And so if you want to take a closer look at those pictures that Sarah was showing, we'll have those up on the wiki hopefully within the next day or two. Who are we going to next? Are we going to Bree or Britt? Bree? Okay. All right, Bree.
Okay, let's see if I can get mine to share now.
I know, right? It's always a challenge.
Oh, yeah. And, okay, here we go. Well, I'm getting the colorful spinning wheel.
Oh,
hold on.
That darn spinning wheel. I tell my third and fourth graders, sometimes computers just like to be mean to us, and I don't know why. It's just grumpy today. There we go.
Okay, can y'all see?
Yes.
Okay. Well, like I said earlier, I am on the other end. I'm on an elementary school, and I'm in Davidson County, and we are a Title I school, meaning we have a high percentage of free and reduced lunch. We have about 458 students, which range from like pre-K through 5th grade. And being at the elementary level, my schedule is a little different than it is at the high school level or even the middle school. I'm on like a fixed flex schedule. I see fixed classes for enrichment classes, and then their library checkout times are semi-fixed flex. So I can have classes in there checking out at a fixed time, but I can have lessons with anybody on a flex schedule anytime as long as it's not on my enrichment days. So it gets to be a little hairy when you look at my calendar. Our principal still, he looks at it, and the teachers come in and look at it, and it's a little wild. We are not one-to-one. That's something that is different about me. I am on that other spectrum. So I wanted to kind of give you kind of the basis for what we are and then talk what we're doing with it. Our classrooms are equipped with two laptops. One is majority for the teacher, and the other is a student laptop, although during the day students can be on either one. Every classroom in our building has a smart board, a data projector, a document camera, and at least one iPad. Some of our classrooms have a couple iPads, and we were lucky last year with the Race to the Top funds. Our district had teachers write for grants for iPad cards, and we were lucky at our school that one of our kindergarten teachers actually won one of those grants. And so we have one kindergarten class that actually is one-to-one. So it's just that kindergarten class that's one-to-one. We have available for the teachers to check out. We do have a laptop cart of 30, or sorry, not laptop cart. We have an iPad cart with 30 iPads. We have voters, or like clickers. And then we have 2 full computer labs of 30 that the teachers can all kind of sign up for through the Media Center. And then the Media Center, we are equipped with 2 iPads and 6 student computers. But yet we will bring that iPad cart in a lot of times and team teach and collaborate with teachers so that we can kind of work together with me and the teachers to do those lessons. Here's some pictures of some of the stuff we do. The iPad cart goes out into the classroom. I went into one today, and they were doing a review where the students were reviewing, and they had this. It was like almost like a game. Have you ever played the trivia games at a restaurant? And that's what these kids were doing. The teacher had an app where they would flash up a question, and the groups would have to push the button and answer the fastest.
Sounds like
and they got points. And so they were having a ball doing that. The pictures you see on the screen are all from the Media Center. We have Discovery Education, the science tech book, that subscription, so our students are able to access that for our science curriculum. And a lot of times the iPad cart goes out for that a lot. In North Carolina, we're very lucky to have a resource called NC WiseOwl. Thousands and thousands of dollars worth of databases, encyclopedias, and everything are available to our students for free. And so we do a lot of research using this resource in the computer labs and with the iPads that get checked out. If you see, there's 2 pictures. I'm going to kind of scroll towards them. This is me. I wish I had picked some pictures that some of the other teachers were at, but my station actually was run with iPads. The students are learning how to write in Chinese. They're learning to write Chinese numbers, and they have QR codes. And so the kids were scanning QR codes where a video took them to show them how to write specific numbers in Chinese. And so the kids were learning how to write that with the iPads. And so this was for an international night. And so all of our teachers were set up with stations. And so this was the Chinese station, and they were learning to write numbers with the iPads. We use it with Destiny in the Media Center. The teachers love doing QR code activities, and we are starting to do some augmented reality. I saw on Sarah's, she had one of the pictures in the center of hers was the circle where it was a sphere, and the kids colored it. And in the image, you can see the 3D sphere above the paper. And that's one of the new augmented reality things that our teachers are starting to do as well.
What's the name of that?
Which one?
Of that app?
The one that's in Sarah's picture is Color, COLAR. And
okay.
That's right.
Yeah, and our teachers love it. They've been able to tie it in with all kinds of things. And you'd think, and I saw her high school students coloring the pictures, but then they realize, oh my gosh, it becomes 3D, or it may move. And they've been able to tie it in curriculum-wise. And there's a couple other apps where they can create the augmentative reality themselves. We're just now at the elementary level starting with our kids to teach them that. And so that's one of those things that we're just now kind of taking the step from the QR codes into the augmentative reality.
Well, and even though our kids really aren't supposed to have their cell phones out, when we were doing that, we did allow a lot of them to download the Color app because they all really wanted to have it on their phones, and since it is free, it was no big deal.
Oh yeah, the kids love it. The first time that they see the stuff become 3D off the paper, and like the first one everybody sees is the bird that eats the worm, and our kids were like screaming because they're like, oh my gosh, it ate it. So they loved it. When we're trying to get people back to the media center, and like Sarah said, we're starting to see that decline in classes come, so we try to do a little bit of anything we can to get people in. We make community partnerships. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see some ladies reading. These are all women from our community, from like one of the local groups. Some are retired educators, some are just business women. We have men and women that come in, and we try to make partnerships for them to come talk to the students, read to them. This group of ladies actually comes in each month and reads with some of our lower grades. And so that was them coming in for Read Across America last year. We do Spirit Days, kind of like Sarah was talking about, and I only have a couple pictures over here. A lot of these are from Dr. Seuss. You'll see in the middle. Our teachers cooperate and are participating. This is our second grade team. They dressed up as the one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish last year. We have our book character day. This little guy right here, he always had the best costumes, and he was Captain Hook, and he even is wearing Tinkerbell down here, where he had captured her. It was like awesome. This is you'll see these right here. These are our morning announcement guys, and one of the things they do is they dress up to try to get the kids excited, and so they're, you know, you'll see them on the next page in just a minute. I love costumes, and one of the things that I always share with people is the love of costumes, so my kids never know what I might come to school as. And one of my favorites is the Book Fairy, and I start the year as the Book Fairy every year. I do carpool as the Book Fairy, and the kids remember that, and so they come by, and you'll see them sneaking peeks into the media center to see, is she dressed up? Does she have a weird hat on today? I had a top hat on Friday, and so they could ask me about it, and then I was talking about a book that I was reading, that I can start saying, hey, if you like this outfit, you might like this book, and kind of roll from it from there. We do book fairs at the elementary level, and we make big events out of it. Bring the family in, we have grandparent lunches, and so we always try to tie that in and get as many people in as possible. We do Elementary Battle of the Books, and that runs through the Media Center. That's a book competition for our elementary students. We also have something new this year, which is called Cyber Kids. It is the Lego robotics team, and that has really, we've got lots of students interested. It's a small team that gets to compete at our school, but being able to talk about it out throughout the building and them talk about the challenges they're doing, kids are giving them suggestions. That's been a really neat thing to get kids into the media center because they want to see the robot, they want to see the table. So that's another thing that they really like. The last two are, I'm going to change pages because we do the read posters and the read bookmarks that ALA has. And if you look over on the right-hand side, they're part of our reading incentives that we do with students. The past 2 years, we've had reading programs where, as the students are reading throughout the year, when they reach certain levels, they get a bookmark with their picture on it. And the kids are so excited because they have to come to the media center to get their picture taken. And we make a big to-do about it, and I've got this background for them to stand in front of to get their picture. And one of the last incentives is for them to have a poster made. And they get to pick the background, they get to pick where it goes in the building, and so it's their advertisement for students to read. And they really, the students, the teachers, the parents, they really talk about that because they're trying to figure out, well, do I want just the, the science fiction, or, ooh, there's a crime scene background, do I like that? I really like those books. And so they talk it out to figure out what poster they want. We also have the public library. We partner with them for, we do our library card month that just finished up, and then we have them come and do an activity later in the year after January, like in January. They come in with a local radio station and do activities with our kindergartners, and they actually donate a book at the time, and so we make a big deal about them coming in and partnering with us, and that they're giving us a library book. And another big thing that's brought students to the Media Center is our morning announcement team. Our morning announcements are run specifically by the kids. They write the scripts, they do all the production work, they dress up, but this has been an outlet for our kids to talk about books. Our students can go on the morning announcements during the year, and they get to book talk. From our little kindergartners that may go up and say, I liked this book because, this character's my favorite, to a fifth grader being able to describe and talk about the hook that really drew them to the book. And that really has made a difference in a lot of our circulation, is the books that they talk are the ones that are never in, and the kids are always coming in to look for. So those have been some things that we have done in our library to kind of bring the kids here, even though we may not have the technology that others do. We still try to integrate as much as we can, bringing them in. The kids this year have got the 2 iPads in the Media Center, and they walk around, they'll search, and then they walk looking for their books instead of being tied down anymore. And it's funny to see them go doing that, because kids that would never have went to the shelves would have come to us first. Physically picking up something and going to look for it has been a great thing. It's been awesome. So that's us.
Bree, this is awesome. You have several people, Christine Tuttle on Twitter and Kathy Schmidt, who both love the idea of the book fairy costumes and getting the kids talking about books with the costumes as well. And Sue said in the chat, Sue, did you want to say what you said in the chat about technology can be cool?
I had to unmute myself. Yeah, I was just saying technology can be cool, but it's definitely not everything, and you're doing just great. I mean, it's all about the stuff you do with the kids.
It really is. So, they'll be all ready by the time you go one-to-one, and it won't be this, suddenly we have devices, what do we do with them? Because you've definitely been training your teachers and your students of what to do, and I love how you and Sarah both have brought in the community as well. So these are all wonderful examples. And now Britt is going to have to follow it all up.
All right. I love the idea of the book fairy. In the past, I've dressed up as things like Edgar Allan Poe and things like that, but yeah, so. All right, I'm sharing my screen. Hopefully you can see it.
Yeah, well, there it goes. I hope Sherry Gick's watching this. Nobody's had a problem with their screen share tonight. It's the bane of her existence.
Don't speak so soon.
Right, okay.
Okay. All right, I am in Union County. I feel like I am like the utopia of one-to-one. We are a countywide one-to-one. Our project began in 2008. And this is our school's 5th year as a complete one-to-one school. I know at the beginning there was fear from me and a lot of other media specialists, like the Media Center was the place where people came to use computers. What was it going to be now? But I have just found it to be fantastic. We have approximately 1,300 students. Each student is issued a Chromebook. We have a full-time tech and a part-time instructional technology facilitator that is shared at our school and our high school that is on our same campus. She's great too. She has some fantastic information that she shares. She has a great blog, and I put her a little shout out to her. I love this little article that she had on her blog recently called Taming the But What If Beast. about, but what if the technology doesn't work? But what if my kids can't get on this app? Or what if this happens? You know what? Things are going to happen when you have technology. You have to just like work through them. That's how it works. Both my tech and my instructional technology facilitator are awesome.
And is her name Casey? Because I'm trying to look it up right now.
Yeah, Casey Banner.
All right, I'm about to send out that link for our viewers. Thank you.
Yeah, she has some good stuff on there. And across our district, the middle and the high schools share one instructional technology facilitator, and the elementary schools, I think between 4 or 5 elementary schools, they share an ITF. Our school is a very high-performing school, and it's in a very affluent area. Not all of Union County is like that, but the school that I am is like that. So kind of when we went, you know, I was a little fearful that, geez, our teachers are so skilled, they're so knowledgeable on their subject. Where am I going to fit in as an instructional leader? So that kind of was like a struggle at first. Where am I going to fit in? And I kind of feel like it's just like attitude, initiative, and marketing. I kind of really feel like I always have to be ahead of the game, thinking what are they going to want to do next so I can get to it first and kind of hook them and see that, you know, I can add something to what they are doing in their classroom, even though they are very knowledgeable in their subjects. I have to find those little ways to add into their curriculum. I feel that's my biggest role, is to support them in their teaching, because our goal as a school is to raise our students' knowledge, raise scores on testing, and to be a piece of that part of that pie. We have to constantly, as media specialists, be showing that we can add to that, not just as a place for kids to gather, but really as a place for kids to learn more and more and more. And how are we going to do that as instructional leaders, as media specialists? So this is kind of my mantra: attitude, initiative, and marketing.
I like that. That's really good.
So this is like an example, and I try to keep track our usage, because it never fails that your principal walks through your media center when you're sitting at your desk planning for your lesson that you're going to do with the next class. So to show them, we started this year even more tracking when our students come in, and you can see we have what's called a team time, and students come in at team time, and I really don't have anything there for them. It's just a place for them to gather. They come in, they like to talk to us. They study, they do homework, they read books, I give them suggestions on books. I really don't have anything special for them, but they just love to come to the media center at team time. And some people have come in, I've had subs come in before and say, this is like babysitting. I'm like, if that's your attitude, that's the wrong attitude, because that is not how I see it. I see it as I have 200 kids coming through every day, and I talk to every single one of them almost, and I find out about them. I find out what they're studying in their classes, so that helps me get an edge on going to a teacher and going, oh, your student said that you're learning about Shakespeare in your classes. How can I help you with that? And things like that. So I really get to know the kids that way. It makes them more apt to come in, and they'll just sit and talk to me about books. So I love that part of it.
That's so true. We need to take time to talk to the kids and see what they're doing and what's up, not only to kind of be detectives and find out what's going on in the classrooms, but building those relationships with the kids. And the fact that they like coming to your library speaks highly of how they feel about your library.
Right, it's about building those relationships with our kids. That's one of the things for our school too, is that our principal has, asked us to do as a school is, if you have 1,000 kids and you talk to 998 of them, what about those 2 that you didn't talk to? So we really try and strive for that. And you can see other things too, that as well as having 176 kids coming in this day, I had 3 classes come in, and I did a a lesson with them on how to evaluate websites. And then we did a research lesson where I spoke to some kids about some classes about researching skills and how to vet websites and how to evaluate websites and how to choose a good website. And what about databases? What is a database? Where do you find them? How do you use them? How do you get the information from them? And I loved watching the kids work. After they got some of these lessons, I went around and I was helping the two teachers who were doing this research as like a third person, a third educator in their group. And I could hear the kids talking to each other like about they were doing research on explorers. So one kid would go, "This is what I read in this book," and another kid would go, "Hey, but on this website, it didn't say that. It had a different year." And they would like talk to each other and go, "Hey, we really need to check into this. If you're getting some kind of information and I'm getting something different, what do we do?" You know, so I thought that was a great learning thing to see how they think and how they really figure it out and how it is sinking in when we tell them these things. Sometimes we wonder, is it really sinking in?
Right.
So
that's awesome. That was an awesome conversation, though.
Yeah. And so that's what I do. A lot of it is, I think, in the past I've done a lot of things like World Read Aloud Day, and we've had a lot of authors, a lot of Charlotte-based area authors come in. We did a nice project a couple of years ago where we had authors as mentors, and the students all did NaNoWriMo in October where they wrote their own book. And they used the authors that came in as kind of their mentors, and they communicated with them after when they started reading their books, communicated with some of those authors to get ideas and suggestions once they started writing. They looked at the authors' texts as kind of showing them how to do certain things. How do you show foreshadowing? And we would look at some of the authors that came in and talk to them, look at some of their books and give examples how this author used foreshadowing. How can you do it now in your story? And we would give them little tasks that they had to do as they were creating their story. And at the end, each of our 6th grade students, 400 kids, created a book that was published and bound, and they had their books to give away at the end of the school year, and that was an awesome project that we did.
That is great. I'm loving all these ideas, and what's so great about what I've seen from North Carolina tonight is we got to see all different types of libraries, from a library where you have the one-to-one to a library where we're kind of doing the MacGyver type thing that Jennifer Lagarde did a presentation on not too long ago, the MacGyver thing where we're piecing together but making it look really cool, and you don't have to spend a couple, $50,000 on a fancy setup. You can still have the same conferencing type tables and environment that Sarah she was able to put together, to a library and a school that hasn't gone one-to-one, but the awesome things that they're doing with the technology that they do have. So we are running out of time. We have about 12 minutes of the show left, and we still have so much to do. So I'm going to pass it over now to Okul, who's going to just do a quick rundown of what happened on TL Virtual Cafe, which is the first Monday of every month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Okul?
Okay, hi everybody. Yes, just a quick overview if you missed it. It was on October 6th. And one of the things I thought was interesting and nice was that we don't always have media specialists or library people per se. And we had Shelley Terrell and Jake Duncan, and they talked about the Cowboy Code. They had it was great. And let me see if I can share my slide. Let's see if I can try screen.
And they were just so much fun too. And I'm a huge fangirl of Shell Terrell. She's who got me started and hooked onto Twitter and become a connected educator. I wouldn't even be here today if it weren't for her.
Right. Okay, is my screen showing?
Yes.
Okay, this is, hopefully everybody watching tonight is aware of our wiki page where you can get to it. All of the virtual cafes are archived, so you can watch it again. That's back to me. Is it showing the...
We're back to you, but we did see it. We did see where to get to it.
I pulled it up again to watch it again today, and so I had left a screenshot of it up. But there was a lot of great sayings. The slides were fantastic. So if you didn't have a chance to watch it, make sure you go to that link and check it out. And
I watched it, but I want to go back and review it again because they really did share so many great things that you can do, and it's nice to have that other perspective from outside of the library as well. All right, and now Jonathan, thank you very much, Ogle. I appreciate that. And Ogle was so sweet and came in last minute today because Alyssa was sick, and I was like, Ogle, do you mind? And she's right there. So I love that our librarians are ready to step up and be there. And Jonathan did the same thing. It was probably about 1:30 at night. I sent him a tweet because Sherry was going to be running late today, and I see Sherry's joined us now. So Jonathan's going to quickly tell us just a little wrap up about the TL chat. And Jonathan, if you want to start, tell us about the chat that you do.
So on Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock Eastern, I moderate one-to-one tech chat, and I'll send out a link to that in Twitter in just a second. But we have 4 educators who co-moderate and really talk about the ways in which one-to-one can change your thinking about your lesson planning and about your professional development. And it is a terrific hour each week. We have wonderful guest moderators. Jennifer Sheffer's coming in this week to talk about the role of student tech teams. And I'd love to have any of you join us. I'm all about the base. No, I'm all about connecting librarians with tech people and eliminating some of those barriers. And my title, Library and Instructional Technology Specialist, as I said, Sherry took that job description, and we both have really felt passionately about erasing some of those borders. I can say pretty quickly that TL Chat this week was about breaking down the walls, making meaningful global connections. I did a quick summary as a Google Doc that I just shared out on Twitter, and maybe you can send that again. But the big message, I think, was Google Plus Hangouts like this. Google Groups, World TL Community got a huge shout out. International Dot Day that we've talked a lot about. People asked, how do you get people on board? And the 2 number 1 answers, that doesn't make sense. The 2 answers at the top of the list were food, obviously, snacks and such, and then students leading your charges. So whatever it is that they need to do, you follow those student leads and you can't go wrong. So hopefully some of those links that I put in the summary are there, and at the very top I put in a link to the entire chat if you want to go back and look at the archive.
Thank you so much. And I really like what you said, and it's kind of been the sentiment with North Carolina today as well, is finding our footing with technology and in the library. And we find ourselves sometimes going too far one way. For instance, with the technology, I found myself when I was first in a one-to-one situation being the one who was having to do repair fees and fix the computers and and there was no time for library. And so coming up with that good balance, and I think we've seen some really good examples of how to get that balance back. And I like how he said we reclaimed our library, you know. Like, okay, I think it was Sarah, you had the slide saying anyone to take over that, and so that's wonderful. Now, I'm going to talk real quickly about, and let's come in here. All right, so I wanted to mention we have a TL Newsnight map, and I wanted to show this to you quickly, but it might help if I actually do a screen share. Watch it not work for me, Sherry, since I've been picking on you. So I made this map really quick to show the states that have been represented so far, and there we have North Carolina, who's on tonight. California will be on next month, and we have British Columbia even coming on, bringing Canada on into the, bringing those cold Arctic airs down into, but we have a lot of states not represented yet, so I want to make sure that you see what has been represented and what has not been represented here. And I also wanted to show you real quickly, this is from Tom Murray. He would like for all of us to start tweeting out to the FCC. They're getting ready to do a big vote about Internet for Schools. So if you'll jot this down, hashtag Internet for Schools, it is their hope that they will have broadband Internet to at least 99% of all the schools in the United States within 5 years. And so from now until the end of November, he would very much like for you to tweet the reasons why we need broadband Internet in our schools. And as he said in one of the statements, is right now a typical K-12 public school has the same Internet access as the average home. And so think about if you invited everyone at your school over to your house and they all tried to get on the Internet at your house. And that is what we're hoping to avoid and to get the FCC to understand by using that hashtag Internet for Schools with an S, is to start just lambasting them. They're going to be watching that Twitter hashtag all month and all next month, and they're wanting to hear from teachers, educators, students as to why we need that broadband Internet throughout the entire United States. And I see where I teach myself it's very important, because we do have students who live in places where Internet just isn't even available at all. Even if they had the money to pay for it, they don't have the Internet available whatsoever at their homes. So now we have just a few more minutes, but I wanted to let North Carolina Association tell a little bit about their conference they just came out of, because that's the huge thing that I think you just came out of, and I know there was some great things that you learned there, and going to let you have the final say about that. So who wants to take that up? Sarah, Britt, Bree, who wants to talk about the conference?
I will.
All right, Britt, thank you.
Our conference is always fantastic. You always come away with some good ideas, and often it's things that you know, or things that but you just like need a refresher to, refresher. Oh, I really need to do that, or I should look back at that again and take a look at that, or try something new. We have some great leaders in our state, like Jennifer Lagarde, and people from our Department of Public Instruction who do some great things about trainings and technology training and instructional training. In September, our district hosted some leaders from our Department of Public Instruction, and they did a training session for us on creating text sets, which I've used several times already this year with teachers who are starting new curriculum with new anchor texts and finding ways to incorporate other media and teach using different kinds of texts and things like that. So it's always a great opportunity to learn. And PLCs, I wish that we had, that's my wish, is to have like this kind of PLC, but continually ongoing talking to people and getting ideas so everybody can benefit from hearing what everybody else is doing.
Right, and I love reading the blogs that have been coming out ever since your conference, and getting to learn through those blog posts. So that's something we need to do. All right, Sherry, let's see. Oh, yep. North Carolina, thank you so much. I can't tell you how happy we are to have you here tonight, Sarah, Britt, and Bree. Just the difference of all of your experiences and how you have each made it work in your own individual schools has been an inspiration to our audience tonight. And I'm going to let Sherry go ahead and close us out. She has a few words to say and is going to close us out for the night.
Hey guys, sorry to drop in late, but I definitely didn't want to miss my home state of North Carolina. I also wanted to let you know, Nikki pulled that map up, and a lot of your states haven't been on our show yet, and we would love to have you. So make sure that you visit tlvirtualcafe.wikispaces.com, and there's a nice form there where you can submit your names to be guests on the show, and we would love to have you and get you scheduled in for this school year even. It looks like that's a wrap, and our next TL News Night is going to be on Monday, November 17th
17th, and we're having California School Library Association. So make sure to join us Monday, November 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you then.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.